In the heart of a whispering forest, dappled with sunlight that danced through the leaves, lived a gnome named Pip. Now, Pip was a wonderful gnome. He could coax the shyest flowers to bloom, whistle a tune that made the squirrels dance, and bake a berry pie so delicious it could make a grumpy badger smile. But Pip had a secret, a heavy little cloud that followed him everywhere. Pip was a worrier. He worried if the sun rose too early or too late. He worried if the morning dew was too damp, or not damp enough. He worried that his mushroom house might one day decide to get up and walk away, though no gnome's house had ever done such a thing. His best friend, a cheerful robin named Rusty, would often find him pacing in circles, his brow furrowed with concern. "What is it today, Pip?" Rusty would chirp, landing on a nearby toadstool. "Oh, Rusty." Pip would sigh, his voice a worried whisper. "I was just thinking. What if I forget how to whistle? What if my tunes just stop coming out?" The squirrels would be so disappointed. Rusty would tilt his head. "Pip, you've whistled a new tune every single day since I've known you. Why would today be any different?" "But it could be," Pip insisted, wringing his tiny hands. "That's the thing about worrying. It's always about the what-ifs." One sunny afternoon, Pip was worrying about the wind. "It's too breezy, Rusty. What if it blows all the petals off Mrs. Higgins' prize-winning roses? She'd be ever so sad." Just then, a flurry of brightly colored petals did indeed swirl past them on the breeze. But instead of sadness, they heard laughter. Old Mrs. Higgins, a wise old badger, was twirling in her garden, her arms outstretched, catching the petals like confetti. "Isn't it wonderful?" she called out to them. "The wind is having a party, and my roses are providing the decorations." Pip stared, bewildered. He had worried about the petals falling, but he had never imagined they could bring such joy. It was a small crack in his cloud of worry. A few days later, Pip was fretting over a small wobbly sapling near the creek. "It's so thin," he lamented to Rusty. "A strong rain will surely wash it away. We must build a fortress of pebbles around it." Before he could gather the first stone, a sudden downpour began. The creek swelled, and water rushed around the sapling's roots. Pip covered his eyes, unable to watch. But when the rain stopped and the sun peeked out, the sapling was still there. Its thin trunk had bent with the flow of the water, not broken. And the rushing water had washed away a tangle of choking weeds, leaving the sapling with more room to grow. It looked stronger than ever. Pip was starting to see a pattern. The things he worried about so much either didn't happen, or they happened in a way that wasn't so bad after all. Sometimes they were even good. His biggest worry, however, was about the annual Great Gnome Gathering. Every gnome was expected to bring something special. Pip was a master baker, but his worries were taking over. "What if my berry pie isn't sweet enough?" he fretted. "What if the crust is soggy? What if everyone secretly hates it and just pretends to like it to be polite?" The worry grew so big that Pip decided he couldn't go. He told Rusty he was feeling unwell. Rusty, knowing his friend well, didn't argue. He just said, "All right, Pip. I'll tell them you send your best. But I was really looking forward to your pie." Pip spent the day of the gathering inside his mushroom house trying to distract himself. But all he could hear was the distant sound of laughter and music from the clearing. He imagined all the other gnomes sharing stories, playing games, and eating delicious treats. His heart felt heavy, not with worry, but with a new feeling, regret. He had worried so much about his pie being a disaster that he had created a definite disaster. He was missing the party entirely. He wasn't with his friends. He wasn't sharing in the joy. His worry had finally done what it always threatened to do. It had stopped him from living. Just then, there was a soft knock on his door. It was Rusty, holding a plate with a single slightly squashed slice of seed cake. "The party's not the same without you, Pip," Rusty said gently. And everyone was asking where the famous Pip's pie was. Pip looked at the seed cake, then at his friend's kind face. A single tear rolled down his cheek. "Oh, Rusty," he whispered. I let my worries win. Worries are like clouds, Pip, Rusty chirped, hopping onto his shoulder. They look big and dark, but they're mostly just air. And they always pass. From that day on, Pip didn't stop worrying completely. It was, after all, a part of who he was. But he learned to manage it. When a worry cloud drifted into his mind, he would stop and ask himself, is this a real storm, or just a passing shadow? He remembered the dancing rose petals and the strong little sapling. He started to think of his worries not as predictions, but as stories he was telling himself. And if he didn't like the story, he realized he had the power to change the ending. The next year, at the Great Gnome Gathering, Pip arrived with not one, but 2 of his famous berry pies. He was still a little nervous as he set them on the table. But then he saw his friends' faces light up. He saw Mrs. Higgins take a big happy bite. He heard the squirrels chattering excitedly. He took a deep breath, not of worried air, but of the sweet festive forest evening. He looked at Rusty, who gave him a little nod. And for the first time in a long time, Pip felt the sun inside him shine brighter than any cloud of worry. He smiled, picked up a slice of his own pie, and joined the party, ready to see what wonderful things might happen next. And that's the story of Pip, the gnome who learned that while we can't always stop the clouds from gathering, we can choose to dance in the sun that shines between them. Life is too beautiful to spend it all worrying about a little rain. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If it brought a little bit of sunshine to your day, I'd be so grateful if you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more gentle tales. See you next time.